Very good morning, everybody. I welcome you all to session one of day two of AICT Atal sponsored online 5 days faculty development program on role of blockchain technology in India and insight into public sector. Now I will introduce our eminent speaker, Dr. M. Venkatesan sir, for this session. Dr. M. Venkatesan is a faculty at Department of Computer Science and Engineering in National Institute of Technology, Puducherry. He has over 17 years of teaching experience and supervised projects in the areas of database, data mining, big data analytics, mobile communication, and networking. He is an Oracle certified instructor for the Oracle WDP program. He conducted Oracle WDP as a continuous learning program to the students every semester and generated a fund of rupees 15 lakhs. He completed ISRO funded project titled GIS-based early warning landslide susceptibility model using data mining classification approach for rupees 10.95 lakhs and complete DST funded 10 days training program on big data analytics for rupees 6 lakhs and attended many professional certificates training as well as guest lectures. He has done special achievement in the networking lab and implemented the MRTG tool to check network traffic. He worked as academic coordinator for School of Computing Science and Engineering, VIT University, Vellore. He worked as sponsored research and industry consultancy coordinator. He also worked as a visiting faculty for 3 months at Monash University, Clayton, Melbourne, Australia during July-November 2006. He acted as guest editor for special issue on advances in web search and analytic approaches for big data in International Journal of Web-Based Communities in the Science Publisher. He is also an author for an edited book titled on cognitive data science methods and models over Internet of Things. Springer series on lecture notes in data engineering and communication systems in the year 2016. He published books on network lab manuals, SQL and PL bar SQL programming labs. He also published 24 Sci-indexed Scopus, non-Scopus papers in various journals and 12 papers in conference proceedings. Now I request Dr. M. Venkatesan sir to take over the floor. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. Thank you. Thanks, madam. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Now I stop my presentation, sir.
Yes. A very good morning. 100% here. Hope everyone is doing good in this pandemic situations and they are coming to the normal life. And most of the institute started to work in offline. But still, this kind of going on in online. Somehow it is good because we can also attend the workshop and we can carry our regular activity. That is fine. That is the advantage of this kind of online workshops. So first of all, I thank the institute management and Dr. Monishi madam for this opportunity. Right. So as madam introduced, I am a faculty in NIT Puducherry. But before, just I joined here recently, and I was there in NIT Surathkal. Then I came here. Okay. So I hope you had good sessions on blockchain fundamentals from the faculty Bhavana Rudra from IT department in NIT Surathkal. She is also my colleague only. Yeah. Right. So today we will be discussing about how our thing is not application oriented. You have developed the codes for the companies. Actually, we have some tie-up with IBM, and you have found some challenges in the blockchain and how to overcome that, particularly the scalability, interoperability, and transition difficulties. These are the three issues we have considered, and we have provided some solution for that. Okay, and even you have published some good paper on that. Okay, some SEA index paper you have published. So I will talk about this. An idea here is this scalability. When you talk about this scalability, just I'll share my PPT just a minute. Hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Right.
Yes, okay.
It is visible, right? PPT is visible.
It is visible, sir.
Okay. All right. So the idea here is, that now people are talking about this blockchain and the cryptocurrency, bitcoins, and so on. And even that recently the government had a meeting to restrict this cryptocurrency. Okay, and but it is not possible, right? So many people have illegally they have invested in this blockchain, this cryptocurrency. So this blockchain is very important area, and so many research community people are concentrating on this blockchain. And when I gone through that, many people are working on with respect to applications like blockchain in healthcare, blockchain in supply chain management. Okay, like that, it's going on. So as I said, here our idea is to improvise the existing problems and to overcome the problems which are there in the blockchain in terms of scalability and transition difficulty and interoperability. Okay, that is the objective. So this is the one research work which is done by my student at NIT Surathkal, right? So she has completed the work and she is waiting for submission of thesis. Right. So I will be sharing some combination of the PDF and the PPTs. So we'll see. So what is blockchain technology? Just I will give you the basics, or 2-3 slides. Then we'll move to that actual content. So that the blockchain technology is a distributed ledger technology, which is proposed by the Nakamoto. Okay, in 2008 or 2009, we can say. Okay, particularly for cryptocurrency Bitcoin. Right, it's a famous paper by Nakamoto that you can refer. Just in Google, you type Nakamoto 2008 or 2009, you'll get the paper. And what are the features of this blockchain technology? The first one is which is immutable and tamper-proof data store. That is the one of the more security. And sequential chain with cryptography hashing. So you are using this hashing concept here. And trust-free consensus-based transactions. I think yesterday you might have had afternoon sessions consensus protocols. There are different consensus protocols are there. So which supports the trust-free consensus-based transactions. And another important thing is which provides the decentralized peer-to-peer network concept. And as in the definition, it's there. It is a distributed sharing ledger. So what is blockchain? So you can call it as blockchain is a sequence of hash chain records. Okay. And what is hash chain? A sequence of records in which each record contains the hash of the previous record in the chain and the hash of the all the current records content also. That is the hash chain. So blockchain is modified hash chain with some conditions. Okay, so you will put some constraints. Okay, which is called as the longest chain tool to validate each transactions. And also you'll be having the consensus, which is also called as agreements, okay, across the participating peers to eliminate the discrepancies among the peers. Okay, so these two are very important, the conditions and the agreement. So when you look this blockchain, there are two variants of blockchain: permissionless blockchain and permissioned blockchain. What is permissionless? From the name itself, you can understand anyone can join the network and participate in consensus. Okay, right, that is agreement. We have discussed, right? And no need to prove any identity, right? And the proof of work is one type of consensus. So proof of work is used, which is computationally expansive. That is the drawback of this permissionless. The examples of Bitcoin comes under this permissionless, and Ethereum. These two comes under this permissionless blockchain. And we have another category, permissioned blockchain. Only a restricted set of users have the rights to validate the block transactions, not all, as it is there in the permissionless. But in permissioned, only a restricted set of users is allowed. Okay, so if you look the consensus, like FACSAX, RAFT, PBFT, all comes under, all these consensus comes under this permissioned blockchain. Okay, only approved actors participate in the consensus. The good example is Hyperledger. So the scalability and transition difficulties and interoperability we have done in the permission blockchain. We have considered only a permission blockchain. We have not considered the case of permissionless. Okay, this is for information. So consensus, it's called as agreement. Okay, so consensus mechanism is a fault-tolerant mechanism that is used in computer and blockchain system to achieve the necessary agreement on a single data value. There are different consensus mechanism, like as I said, proof of work is a one, and proof of stake, and practical Byzantine fault tolerance, which is called as PBFT, and then delegated proof of stake, DPoS, and proof of elapsed time, proof of authority, proof of burn, proof of identity, and so on. Okay, anyhow, in the third objective, I will be showing this how to choose the particular consensus mechanism. That I will also show you. So just to understand what is consensus and what are the different consensus mechanism the blockchain technology follows. Okay, so here in the beginning I have told you the blockchain is nothing but a decentralized peer-to-peer network. Okay, so when you look this decentralized peer-to-peer network, because of that, okay, the decentralizing trust, there are two breakthroughs. One is in 2008, that is Nakamoto. Okay, this is a paper, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Blockchain to achieve large-scale permissionless consensus by the Nakamoto. And 2013, there is one more paper which talks about Ethereum, the ultimate smart contract and decentralized application platform. So these are the two breakthrough in the decentralizing concept, okay, based on this blockchain technology. But what happens when people focus more on security? People focused more on the security point of view. When you talk about blockchain, people talk about how the transaction will be carried out, how the transaction will be secured, all these things they are focused. So in both, in the Nakamoto and the 2013, the Ethereum, in both the cases, the primary objective is to take care of the security issues. Okay, but when you look the transaction throughput, okay, it is not considered. For example, 7 transactions per second or 20 transactions per second in case of Ethereum, and 7 transactions per second in case of Bitcoin. And as well as the latency is very poor in case of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So when you talk about the scalability, okay, what is scalability? If you have any algorithm, whatever it may be the size of the data, the algorithm is able to, or the model should be, or the system to be in the position to handle any size of the data. That is the scalability. So to achieve that, people have introduced the concept of distributed database and parallel database, particularly parallel databases. So what is happening in this parallel databases? In parallel databases, you have different type of parallelism, correct? People see, when you talk about scalability, there are two also, like horizontal scalability and vertical scalability, correct? So, but the thing is, you have to achieve the scalability. The system should be in the position to handle any size of the data. Okay, but here when you talk about the transaction, because the transaction is the primary content in the blockchain, but the transaction throughput is very poor in case of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So how to overcome this? So the principal challenge is the scalability. Okay, so there are many people who have talked about this scalability issues. So solving, this is a one article, solving blockchain biggest problem. Okay, 5 projects working on scalability. That is a article. You just go through that in 2018. Okay, then blockchain scaling problem explained. Okay, it's another article, and once again in 2018. Then 7 challenges that need to be addressed before blockchain mass adoption is possible. Then blockchain scalability, the issues and proposed solution. Now you can refer our article. You have published a paper in the SCA journal. Probably, if time permits, at the end I will show you that also. It is in SCA journal. Okay, how to handle the scalability issues in permission blockchain. That is a paper. You just explore it. Okay. So the blockchain trilemma. Okay. So what it says, we can see here the properties: decentralization, security, and scalable. Now, as per that existing blockchain technology, the first decentralization and security is achieved. Okay, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, you can see. But when you go to this IOTA and Ghost, the decentralization and scalable is somehow it is done. And if you look at the other product of blockchain like EOS and Libra and Ripple, and security and scalability is achieved. So it means all the 3 properties are not able to achieve. Okay, only 2 out of these 3 properties can be simultaneously achieved. Okay, so decentralization, security, and scalable. Right, the idea is we want to achieve all the 3. Okay, so that for that we have made some changes in the Hyperledger. Okay, right, there are many people have contributed for this blockchain development, and there are some paper we have referred for the to find the gaps and to address that issues. Lin and Leo in 2017, the big challenge in their paper is throughput. Okay, and but they consider both the, I told you, right, there are 2 variant of blockchain, permission blockchain and permissionless blockchain. So they have considered both. Okay, what they have did, when the frequency of transaction in blockchain increases to similar levels, the throughput of the blockchain network needs to be improved. So they have not improved the throughput. Okay, throughput is the one of the challenge in their paper, because the scalability can be measured with respect to this throughput and latency. Okay, that's what these papers are pointed out here. And DNH in 2018, in this paper, right, the latency they have considered. They have also considered both the permission blockchain and permissionless blockchain. Making a block and confirming the transaction should happen in seconds while maintaining the security. Okay, so that is the issues. Then Dory ETL in 2016, the implementation cost is the one of the challenge. They are also considered. They have also considered both the permission and permissionless blockchain. So what is the summary of it? The most convenient platforms come at huge cost in terms of implementation and even energy cost. Okay, so the implementation and energy cost is one of the biggest challenge there. Whenever you are going to implement or improvise the existing techniques. Then Wang ETL in 2018, they have talked about the scalability. The challenge issue is the scalability. There they have considered only the permission blockchain. Okay, it is difficult to scale permission blockchain application to efficiently serve the huge number of customers without hitches. Okay, so because the existing techniques which is not able to cope up with the more number of customers or more number of transactions. Okay, so that is one of the drawback. So you want to address that. Okay. Then Tosh in 2018, the data privacy, they have considered the permissionless blockchain. And some two other measures apart from the scalability, we are going to talk about this transition difficulty and interoperability challenges. So the coastal ETL in 2018, they have talked about this transition difficulty. They have considered the permission blockchain. So what is their observation is it will be difficult to make a transition from one consensus mechanism to another consensus mechanism because see the each technique will follow different consensus mechanism. Okay, but if you are transmitting the transactions from one to another when they are following different consensus mechanism, it is difficult. So how to do that? How to achieve that? That is the concept of transition difficulty. Okay, so you have proposed some idea for that. Then SaveDev in 2018, they have talked about unclear regulatory environment. They have considered permissionless blockchain. Many governments are still unclear on how they view blockchain from a legal standpoint. Like as I said, still India is getting confusions. You know that in a lot of villages now, not only cities. Okay, in cities, most of the IT company people, they have invested too much of amount in this Bitcoin cryptocurrency. This is illegal. This is completely illegal because it is not approved by the government. Okay, but still there are a lot of people are doing this. Even not only in cities, even in my villages also, many people are talking about. Even we are doing research, but they are talking about how to earn the amount. Earn the money. They are saying you invest this and you'll get this much, like that they are saying. So this is completely illegal, but the government has to take some steps to correct all this kind of transactions actually. So the government is planning to. There are different viewpoints. Some people are suggesting to allow this kind of cryptocurrencies, and some people are against that. So we have to wait and see what kind of stand the government is going to take. Okay, but surely they have to. After some years, the government will allow because in some countries it is already there, right? Then Buterin in 2014, they have talked about interoperability challenges. Okay, they have also considered the permission blockchain. It is incapable to interact with two different platforms. Like for example, you have Ethereum and you have Hyperledger. Okay, and how you can perform the communication between two different platforms. Okay, I have Hyperledger and you may be using Ethereum, but I want to do some transaction between these two environments, two different platforms. That is the another challenge. That's called as interoperability challenges. Okay, so you are going to address three issues: the scalability. Okay, then the transition difficulty, that is make transition from one consensus mechanism to other consensus mechanism, and interoperability is nothing but capable of interacting two different platforms of the blockchain technology, right? So based on this, the work which are carried out by the different research community or research forum, okay, and you got some conclusions, okay, and you got some idea. So the majority of current research is conducted in cryptocurrencies rather than in other blockchain environment like permission blockchain. People are focusing more on cryptocurrencies. Okay, so the research on scalability, latency, throughput, size, and bandwidth, versioning, R4, interoperability does not exist in the current literature. Okay, so the idea here is you want to design and develop a hyperledger fabric based framework which handles the scalability, transition difficulty, and interoperability issues in the permission blockchain using data science techniques, or you can call it as machine learning techniques. Okay, it's not like fully focusing on blockchain. The idea is to introducing this machine learning or data science concept here to achieve these three issues: scalability, transition difficulty, and interoperability issues. Okay. So you know what is machine learning, right? Machine is going to learn from the data, right? So you can use some machine learning techniques or data science techniques to address these three issues. Correct? So when you talk about machine learning, there are three: supervised learning and unsupervised learning, and then the reinforcement learning. Correct? So here, mostly we are trying to use supervised learning actually. So you know what is supervised learning? Supervised learning will be having data and with the class label, and it will be given to the machine, and the machine will train according to the class label presented in the training data. Then the model or the machine will analyze the new data set based on that. That's called a supervised learning. In unsupervised learning, you will be giving the data, but the machine will learn from the data based on the properties or characteristics of the data, because the class labels are missing in unsupervised learning. So when you talk about machine learning, the supervised machine learning, we have two further categories like classification and prediction. Okay, so in the classification we have a number of algorithms. So we have used some classification here to achieve this three objectives. Okay, interoperability and transition difficulties and scalabilities. Right. Yeah. So the idea is to incorporate the machine learning techniques or machine learning frameworks, okay, to achieve the scalability and transition difficulties and interoperability. Got it? Right. So first one is the scalability. So you know that scalability in the parallel database you might have studied. What will happen? How you can improve the scalability? If you have the parallel processing, multi-processor system, okay, multi-processor system, then the scalability will be improved. Okay, that is, a task will be divided and it will be given to many processors instead of giving to only one process. It will be given to many process, okay, and it will be executed parallelly, so that the task will be completed in short period of time. So automatically the transaction throughput will be improved. That is called the scalability. Okay, I think those who have studied parallel databases, you know this interoperable parallelism. There are different parallelisms are there. Okay, so the main idea is if you are able to implement the parallelism concept, then automatically it is possible to improve the scalability. Okay, right. So here what you have done, you have not done much work, but actually many coding is involved here. Okay, so you have taken this Hyperledger fabric, okay, and you have improved the scalability in that particular framework, Hyperledger fabric framework, and you have incorporated this machine learning framework, Apache Spark. Okay, those who have studied this big data analytics, you know about this Apache Spark. Okay, there also people are using this for scalability. Okay, So you thought of bringing this Apache Spark can be the solution to the scalability issues. So Apache Spark is an open source cluster processing system for constant information preparations. So the principal highlight of Apache Spark is in-memory clustering. You know that what is in-memory clustering, which speed up the application. So Spark gives an interface to programming old bunches with certain information parallelism. So the idea is to provide the parallelism. Okay, that is the use of this Apache Spark. Yeah, so I will share other material. 1 minute. Are you able to see my PDF?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we can see, as I said, this is the framework we have proposed here. There will be Apache Spark will be on the bottom. On top of it, we'll have all these machine learning libraries, and then Spark, then blockchain. The blockchain will be on top of that. This is the framework we have developed, okay, to perform this scalability. So yeah, the student has developed a private blockchain network at NITK. Okay, and so these are the different Hyperledger version. We have used this 1.4 and 2.0. Okay, and these are the software used to, because mainly our idea is to improvise this Hyperledger. It's not application oriented. Okay, so you want to improve this framework, Hyperledger Fabric framework, right? So she has done some good work on that. Okay. So one is how we are going to analyze the scalability there are two. One is transaction latency and the transaction throughput. Okay. So you will be using these two measures to check whether you are able to achieve the scalability or not. So what happens actually before incorporating our work, the existing Hyperledger Fabric is able to handle only 3,000 transactions per second, 3,000 transactions. But after incorporating our idea, you are able to handle 30,000 transactions. Okay, so that is the one good results you got, but still this is the one result which you got, but still many other idea you are incorporating, and you are trying to improvise that 30,000 also to 3 lakhs transaction, something like that. Okay, so the work is going on, but as per this idea, you are able to move from 3,000 transaction to 30,000 transaction. So the scalability is achieved, it is measured or it is analyzed with respect to transaction latency and transaction throughput. Okay, so how it is analyzed? This is the point you have to consider. If the throughput remains constant or increasing on the increase in the transaction, then the framework is scalable. Okay. In another way, with respect to latency, if the latency remains constant or decreasing in the rise in transaction, then also it is considered as a scalable framework. I hope people may know this. There is a true graph on speed up and scale up in parallelism. I think if you look into that, you may get clear idea on this. Okay, so this is the result which you got as per this the existing system, existing Hyperledger Fabric before implementing our concept. You can see in the x-axis we have the number of transactions, and In y-axis the throughput, it goes like this. Whenever the transaction increases, see the throughput is going up and down and then it's increasing. Okay. Now then you can see the number of transaction only 6,000, but here you can see throughput and the number of transactions. Okay, the throughput is then slightly increasing and decreasing, but we are able to handle more number of transactions. Okay, so throughput is in transaction per second. Then like that, it is also measured with respect to latency. You can see here the number of transactions before applying our solutions. This is the latency graph, and this is the result which you got after applying our latency. Okay, so the number of transaction and the latency. This is the, it should be in opposite, right? So with respect to latency and throughput, we are able to achieve that. Okay, and this is the confirmation time in seconds. Okay, and the number of transactions is given, and you can see this is the transaction range from 100 to 1000. Okay, and then this is the transaction range from 1000 to 10,000, and this is the transaction range from 10,000 to 50,000. Still, you are trying to improvise this. Okay, so this is the results which you got with respect to scalability, and then you will move to the second issues, interoperability issue of formation of blockchain. All right. So interoperability issues, you know that see the idea is how to perform the communication between two type of frameworks, blockchain framework. Okay. So here we have the Hyperledger Fabric and we have the Ethereum. Okay, but you want to perform the communication between the two different type of platform. So that's called as interoperability. Okay. So this is not at all there when you started this work. Okay, so you have tried to do that, and we are trying to solve these issues, and even this is what observed by the IBM people also. So you have some collaboration with them, and you are doing some work on that, right? So when you talk about this interoperability techniques, there are many techniques. There are many schemes we have. One is the notary scheme. Okay. So what it does, it verifies that event took place at one blockchain and to feed this information in the second blockchain. This is called as a notary scheme. So the event happened at one blockchain, and then the will feed this information in the second blockchain. That is a notary scheme. Then the second one is a side chain. What happens there? It validates and gather information about the state of other blockchain. Validates and gather information about the state of other blockchain. But what happens here in this mechanism, the waiting period is more due to locking capability. Okay. Then third one is hash locking. Okay, so what is happening in this hash locking? It triggers an action on two blockchains simultaneously in automatic manner. But blockchain has to support hash time lock contract. This is the problem. Okay, so these are some of the existing interoperability techniques. So here, what you are trying to do, you are trying to do this Hyperledger Fabric as designed. Okay, you have made a modification here on the Hyperledger Fabric. Okay, to interact with the Ethereum smart contract. Right. So this is the, so do you want to provide the interface between the Hyperledger Fabric and Ethereum? Okay. So here how it is done, and once again here we have proposed a framework, okay, to achieve this interoperability issues. Okay, so interaction is achieved through EVM chain code and Fabric virtual machine. Okay, so this things we have done here. So Ethereum VM chain code wraps the Hyperledger Fabric in a GO chain code together named as Fabric. So everything is, there are a lot of code we have written for this. Okay, so you can see here how this interoperability is done. The Ethereum VM, okay, that is chain code wraps the Hyperledger fabric in a Geo chain code together named as Fabrum. This is called as Fabrum. You can see here. You can see here. I will show you that. So this is called as Fabrum. This complete this complete bundle is called as Fabrum. Okay. So this is the fabric, Hyperledger fabric VM, and this is the EVM, right? This is called as chain code. This is the EVM chain code. Okay, and you can see fabric VM is there and EVM CC is there, right? Through that, you are trying to perform this interoperability. Okay, and here you can see in this fabric or Ethereum pair, you can see this is the concept. You will have smart contract. You will have a smart contract data, and you will be having this EVM CC. This is the complete bundle. It's called as a ledger data. Okay, and this is called as a fabric or Ethereum peer, right? And this complete bundle is called as a Fabrum. So Ethereum VM chain code wraps the Hyperledger fabric in Geo chain code together named as Fabrum. The Ethereum chain code act as the smart contract runtime, okay, and stores the deployed contract on the ledger, right? So combining both Fabric and Ethereum will act as a twin so that the features can be incorporated. So this is the idea we have followed and we are able to achieve that. Okay, so this is the framework we have proposed for interoperability between the two type of platforms. Okay. There are many things, but we are not able to disclose it. Just we are giving the rough idea here to you. Okay, and this is the result analysis of this interoperability between the platforms. So here you can see the performance metrics. Once again, it is measured with the latency and throughput. And the name source you can see Fabric, okay, and destination is Ethereum. Okay, and then success and fail rate, send rate. We have used different parameters: the maximum latency, minimum latency, average latency, and throughput. You have taken the measures. The sources in this first is Fabric and Ethereum. Second is also Fabric and Ethereum. Third one is Ethereum with Fabric. Like that goes on. Fabric and Ethereum, Ethereum with the Fabric, Ethereum with the Fabric, Fabric and Ethereum. So here we have done the interoperability issues only with these two platforms. Okay, Hyperledger Fabric and Ethereum. Then the third concept is the transition difficulty of blockchain. Okay, so how to move from one consensus mechanism to another consensus mechanism. Okay, so this is the proposed solutions. We have once again here also framework is proposed, and you can see there's a blockchain user A and blockchain user B, and there are various applications, application 1 and application 2. But we have to decide which consensus mechanism we have to choose. Okay, and you know that what is consensus? We already discussed as a smart contract. Okay, it's agreement, you can say a smart contract. So consensus, there are different consensus protocols we have. This proof of work and PBFT and POS, proof of stake, and so on. But now you have to select, you have to classify that. The application based on application, you have to classify which consensus mechanism you have to use. So here we are bringing this machine learning technique, supervised learning. Okay, so by using that, you want to select the appropriate consensus mechanism. So to check this consensus mechanism, we have used selected features. One is the activity, then the transactions, then record, then B time, activity, virtual mining, simulating leader election, rule of long chain, decoupling block proposal, resource consumption, and so on. So we have proposed algorithm. It's a consensus transition algorithm. Okay. So what will the input? The input will be the previous block hash. Okay, and then the current block number, then the timestamp, type of blockchain, and election of miners, reward, speed of block creations. All these things will be given the input, and result will be the type of containers. Okay, blockchain platform, used protocols, and memory CPU, traffic in and traffic out. So first we have to initialize all the weights with small random numbers, typically between -1 and +1, and we have to repeat this step for every pattern in the training set. Present pattern to the network for each layer in the network, for every node in the layer. Calculate the weight sum of the inputs to the node. This is algorithm which we have done. So based on this consensus transition algorithm, we can pick the particular consensus protocols from that. So this is the algorithm. So here we have used various classification algorithms actually. So we have used this consensus transition algorithm, okay, to perform this. 1 minute. To perform this transition difficulty of this blockchain. Okay, so this is the algorithm which we have developed and we have used it, okay, to achieve this transition difficulty. And what you did, you have compared with the various classification algorithms you have taken. Okay, so here this architecture, if you use, as I said, the idea is to bring down this machine learning techniques here. So in the machine learning, we have two, supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So in this classification comes under the supervised learning, right? So as I said, in supervised learning, the class labels will be there. Okay, and there are different classification here. We have the PAMAS classification is Bayesian, which comes from Bayesian theorem, Bayes theorem. Then Bayesian classification, then K nearest neighbor, okay, then neural network, then sorry, decision tree, okay, then there are many SVM, okay, so Bayesian, KNN, and neural network, and decision tree, and SVM. There are many classification, but this classification, what it does, it takes the training data. So the data, what happens in the case of machine learning, the data will be divided into training and testing, correct? Training and testing. The training data will be used to build the model. So we will apply our class supervised machine learning algorithm here. For let us say, I'm going to apply a Bayesian on training data. Then I will get the model. Then this model performance will be checked by using the testing data. Okay, and once the model is working fine with the testing data, then the model will be used to analyze the new data set. That is the logic in classification. Okay, but now this algorithm point, which algorithm we are going to use? Are you going to use Bayesian or KNN? In case of KNN, what happens? What is K in KNN? K is the number of neighbors. Okay, so based on the neighbors, the classification itself will change. So KNN is there, the neural network is there. Neural network will try to find the loss functions, and then you will give the backpropagation neural network, you will propagate the errors, and you will adjust the weights, and you will try to reduce the error rate. Okay, and then the decision tree, where what you try to do, you will try to find, you will try to form a tree. Okay, you will try to form a tree, and if you look the tree, there will be a root and then child. So in the root,
how to find that root node is the important concept in decision tree. Correct. So in decision tree, there are various algorithms. We have ID3, C4.5, and CART. Right. So the difference among these three algorithms is nothing but the metric which you are going to use or consider to find the splitting attribute. So in case of ID3, you'll be using information gain. It's one of the standard measure or metric we can say. By using information gain, you can compute the information gain for all the attributes, and the attribute which provides the maximum information gain will be selected as the splitting attribute. Okay, that is the decision tree, that is ID3. In C4.5, instead of information gain, you will go for gain ratio. Okay, and third one is the Gini index. So in gain ratio, that is in C4.5 also, the attribute which has maximum gain ratio will be considered as the splitting attribute. Okay, and in case of CART algorithm, CART, you will be using this Gini index. Okay, but here in case of information gain and gain ratio, we will take high values. Okay, maximum information gain and maximum gain ratio. But when you go to this Gini index, we will be considering only the attribute which provides the least Gini index will be considered as a splitting attribute. Okay, so these are the various algorithm comes under decision tree. And SVM, the support vector machine, so you will be having the hyperplane and which segregates the elements present in the two different classes. Okay, right. So that is the concept you are following. So you kindly go through this all this machine learning algorithms and how it works. So you have implemented, you have incorporated this classification techniques here. Okay, and you are able to find you are able to achieve this transition difficulties among the consensus. You can see. So decision tree, KNN, mostly it's decision tree is not giving that much good accuracy. It's giving only 50, but if you take a KNN, AVB, and SVM, and NLP, multi-layer perceptron, so it gives almost near to 90. So that's why you got 90. Almost it's near to, we are getting the same kind of result. Okay, so this is the way you can achieve this transition difficulty in the blockchain. Okay, so the idea is to address the issue of scalability and then interoperability issues and transition difficulty. Okay, so you can see we have also computed the precision recall and F1 score table for KNN. You can see here, and you can see there are different consensus mechanism for DPoS. This is the precision recall and F1 score, and PBFT is another consensus mechanism. These are the values metrics, classification metrics for this this consensus mechanism. Okay, and like that proof of state. Okay, everything is one. Precision is one, and recall is one, and F1 score is one. So it's good for this. And then proof of work also it's good. Okay, like an RP. And your computed accuracy and micro average and weighted average. Okay, you can also see. So this is the precision recall F1 score table for KNN classifications. Now you can see for decision tree. You have taken different consensus mechanism. Okay, CL, DPoS, LPoS, and PBFT, and proof of state and proof of work and RP and GPOS. And we got all same precision, recall, F1 score and support. Okay, but it's very poor, right? In the accuracy point of view, it's giving only 50, but here it is 90. This is better than this. Then Navy Bayesian, you can see the Navy Bayesian also giving good accuracy. Okay, 90 almost it gives the accuracy. And we can see the different consensus mechanism, right? DPOS and PBFT and POS and POW, RP and WP. And same way you are computed for SVM also, the different classification metrics. So you know that in the classification there are many metrics, correct? You have this, I hope you know, confusion matrix, correct? Okay, so the confusion matrix, you'll be having the actual classes in the row and the predicted classes in the column, correct? And then we'll try to compute it. So in the, suppose let us assume there are two classes, class 1 and class 2. So in the actual classes, we have C1 and C2 in row. In the column also, we'll have C1 and C2. So we have this concept called as true positive. What it means that true positive, when the tuples actually belongs to that particular class 1 and your model also classifies that that tuple belongs to class 1, then it is true positive. Okay, then the next one is actually the tuples belongs to class 1, but your model classified that the tuple belongs to negative classes. Okay, so it's wrongly classified. Actually it belongs to positive, but wrongly classified as negative, so false negative. Then actually the tuples belongs to class 2, but your model classified as C1. Okay, so wrongly classified as positive. Actually it belongs to negative, C2, but the model recognized as positive. So it's called as false positive. False positive. It classified as positive. Actually it belongs to negative. So it's false positive. Then the last one is when the actually the tuple belongs to negative and your model also classifies that it belongs to negative, then it's called as true negative. Okay, so this is called as a confusion matrix, which we'll be producing. Based on that, there are many measures: accuracy, precision, recall, specificity, sensitivity, and F1 score. And sometimes people will go for ROC curve, AUC curve, okay, to check the performance of the classification. Since we have incorporated these classification techniques for this transition difficulties, and you are since we have incorporated many classification, you have tried with many classification techniques, okay, and you want to know, you want to measure the performance of the classification. Okay, so even though there are many various metrics like F1 score and precision recall, mostly people prefer accuracy. So accuracy is easily you can calculate it from this confusion matrix. Like you have to take the diagonals, true positive and true negative divided by all, that is the total number of data. True positive plus true negative divided by all, right? That will give you the accuracy. And you can also compute the error rate of the classification. The error rate of the classification is nothing but 1 minus accuracy. So if the accuracy is 75, then immediately you can say that the 25% is the error rate of the classification model. Okay, clear? So such a way you can compute the metrics for a different classification. Okay, so this is the important topics in machine learning, particularly when you come to this classification, the performance measures or metrics for classification. That is very, very important. So this is for SVM and it is also near to 90, and this is for MLP, which is also near to 90. Okay. So this is the accuracy graph which you've plotted here. You can see here KNN and the Navy base, SVM and MLP almost is near to 90, like 89 point something, 89.99, something like that. Almost it is close to that. That's why you made it, you round off, so you got 90. Okay. And this is for decision tree. How it works for different consensus mechanism. The support values are in y-axis and the various consensus protocols here, DPoS, PBFT and POS and POW, RP and WP, and this is the various measures we have drawn. Okay, how the precision, how the recall, how the support, how the FO. Like that we have plotted for all the graph. For KNN, you can see. Right. And for Navy base here. Then SVM. Then ML. I hope it is clear to you.
So some participants asking some queries. Actually, for precision and recall, whether we have to consider macro average value or weighted average value.
I'll come to that. I'll come to
Okay,
that.
okay.
So you can see the performance metrics. These are the different resource consumptions, and for different platforms you tried. Okay, so you can see here. This is minimum latency, average latency, and this is throughput. This is a maximum latency. And resource consumptions we have clearly given here. Platform hyperledge fabric, and protocol is the consensus protocol is PFT, and this is memory maximum and average, and CPU time maximum and average. Like then for this is for Ethereum, and this is for Bitcoin. The protocol is proof of work, and for Ethereum it is proof of stake. Okay, and like that it goes on. There are different other platform. Okay, and there are different consensus protocol we have used. And once again, all these parameters are. So this is the we have used Caliper to get this result. Okay, so I hope I have shown you the environment which we used for different things. Right here. Yeah. So we have used Caliper and Visual Studio Code and Jupyter Notebook for software. And for language Golang and JavaScript, Node.js and Python we have used. Okay. What is a query? I'll come to that. Rogin Patil asked for precision and recall whether we have to consider macro average or weighted average values. And there are different classifications, but how Navy base is compared with the fuzzy neural network. But fuzzy is not directed graph, where Bayesian network is a directed graph. Actually, yeah, for Rogin Patil, you can for precision and recall, you can always go for weighted average values instead of going for macro average value. And what is that BCT 75? I'm not
Sir,
able.
sir, sorry. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Rogi Patel.
Yes, sir. What is the difference between macro average values and weighted average values, sir? I'm not getting exactly.
No, see, always no. See, the weighted average values will be giving the accurate results compared than the macro average value. Macro, it's nothing but like no, it will be biased sometimes. So to overcome that only, we are going for this weighted average value only, madam.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And that BCT 75, what is its name? What is the name of BCT 75? I don't know. So its question is, there are different classification, but how Navy base is compared with the fuzzy network? See, here you have not used Bayesian network actually. Bayesian network use the dependency, correct? In the Bayesian classification we have used. In Bayesian classification, you know that the conditional dependency is there, conditional independence concept as that assumption is we are following in Bayesian classification. So you have not used Bayesian network, okay? Because he is pointing out the fuzzy is not directed graph and Bayesian network is directed graph. Yes, Bayesian is a directed graph, but we have not done the Bayesian. Okay, we have not done Bayesian belief network. There are two, Bayesian classification and Bayesian belief network. To overcome the drawback of the conditional independence which exists in the Bayesian classification is overcome in the Bayesian belief network, correct? So we have done only the Bayesian classification. We have not incorporated this Bayesian belief network here. And yeah,
Sir, I have one more doubt again.
yes.
Suppose I have calculated the precision value by using the formula that is TP upon TP plus FP, then whether that it will give the same value that by using the classification matrix.
No, confusion. You are asking about the confusion matrix, right?
No, not I'm asking not confusion matrix. That classification table you have shown now, within that they have macro average value and weighted average value. Suppose I'll get the weighted average value as a 0.85. And if I calculated for by using the formula precision formula TP upon TP plus FP, so whether I'll get the same value or it will be different.
It will be different. See, here this case is different. You are not because here I have not plotted this confusion matrix for you. Correct.
Okay.
Here I have not plotted the confusion matrix. We have followed a different mechanism, but which is inferred from this confusion matrix only. Okay. Just we have shown the different values, but we are not shown in the form of confusion matrix.
Means that is also correct, na?
Yes, that is correct only. That is a formula for precisions. Correct.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So yeah, so we can achieve this concept like this by using this machine learning techniques to perform the scalability and transition difficulty and interoperability. Okay, I will try to show you the paper which you produced. Just wait a minute. I will stop my screen and then I will share it. Just a minute. Just wait a minute. So the one paper is published in the ICT Express. I will show you, and another one is okay, sorry.
Yeah. Now it's show my screen. I hope my screen is visible to you. Is it visible to you?
Now it's presenting, sir. You are presenting in the screen.
Are you able to see the paper?
Now it's visible.
So this is the paper we have published, the first work, scalability improvement analysis of permission blockchain. So those who are beginning your research the blockchain area, you can refer our paper and you can also cite our papers. Okay, so this is from the ICT Express, okay, from Elsevier, right? So you can just have a look on this. So we'll get some idea how we have done, how you have proposed the Hyperledger fabric. This is a diagram I have included in my first presentation, first slide of it. Okay, so you can just go through that. So as I said, to improve, we have used this Apache Spark. Okay, and this is the transaction workflow. So here also, as I said, to perform the transactions, we have used the random forest here actually. Okay, right. So to improve the scalability, right, you can just go through that. So these are the results, which have some results I have already shown to you, and you can get more results here. This is the one which we published in the ICT Express, which is a SCIE indexed paper. And recently we have published another one, which is the Q1 paper. Okay, that is SCEI, and you know that Q1, Q2, Q3. This comes under the sustainability journal. Is the sustainability journal publishes MDPI. The paper is this is interoperable permission blockchain with the sustainable performance. You can see here Swati, my research scholar, and it's my name, and another professor here. So we can go through. This is the way we have implemented, and let me know if you need. Suppose you are not able to access any papers and you need a full text. Let me know. We'll support it. Okay, so you can just go through it and use it. And one more paper is in communicated, and it is there in the review. Probably be getting it in another 1 month of time. Okay, so our job is more on code, as I said in the beginning. We have developed the Hyperledger fabric environment. We have improvised it so that now this environment will support the scalability, and still you are working on it to improve that 30 transaction to 3 lakh transactions. Okay, that is also going on, and yeah, then the transaction difficulties and interoperability you are able to achieve it. That's all from my side, and if you have any queries, let me know. And Krishnamurthy ERP asked, I am doing research in large India. I need this. Please share.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please send a mail.
Yes, sir.
And your area, exactly what you are trying to do in the blockchain.
Yes, sir.
And where you are doing your research.
So from Bharat University, sir.
Bharat.
Yes, sir. Bharat University from Chennai.
Tambara.
Tambara, yes, sir.
Okay.
First year only I started, sir. PhD.
Okay.
First DC meeting I have completed, sir. Majorly I focus on blockchaining, data integrity area, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah. Any other queries from the other participants? Are most welcome. So whatever support from NIT Puducherry or NIT Surathkal, it will be
offered to you, right? There is no issue on that. So you can note down my mail IDs. So this is one mail ID, and my personal mail ID is shakti77@gmail.com. So I am still, yeah. So I have 3 mail IDs. So yeah,
Sir,
you
actually
can.
not clearly show the. Sir.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, can you please share the mail ID in chat box?
Yes, sure.
It will be helpful. Thank you.
Because I don't know that NATK may will be there for another 2 years because M came on lean, so I'm not sharing that. I'm sharing this two. English Shakti 77@gmail.com. It's better to send this personal mail ID, that will be easy. I will be accessing the frequently because this will be the communication for official purpose. Yeah, you send it anyone, no issues. This is small. Small b, venkatesham.msundaram@natp.ac.in. Another is English Shakti 77@gmail.com. Can you see the participation list? These are mostly students or faculty here. The
All are
participants
faculty members, sir.
from different institutes.
Different institutions. Industry persons are also joined, sir.
Okay. So yeah, I think we got some good amount of participants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the idea of Atal program actually. They have selected some important areas and they are trying to give resources to different, yeah, that's good. Nice.
Okay, sir.
So
Actually, now I request the participants to give feedback about this session. I request some of the participants to give feedback about this session.
Good morning to all. I am Kavita from University College of Engineering, Villupuram. Today's resource person addressed about scalability and interoperability with blockchain. Thanks for your nice presentation, sir, because these two are the major issues in present scenario whenever we are working in any domain. Whatever it may be, the scalability and interoperability are playing a major role. So you given a good exposure to this, and I also felt that why can't we change our research area to today morning when I am attending your session. Just I was thinking why we can't change it to a domain of blockchain like that. You also express those scalability and interoperability with your work, and you shown the 2 papers which you published. It will help us in future research work, sir. Thank you, sir. Nice session we had today in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you,
Once
Kavita
again, thank you for
Yalaman,
the
ma'am.
organizers.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Very good morning to you all. I am Dr. A. Kavita from IRTT College, sir.
Okay.
Sir, thank you very much for your informative and elaborate speech, sir. Your presentation very much given the idea of the scalability and interoperability in the blockchain technology, and people have got very much curious in starting their research in this area by on seeing your presentation really. And I think it will be very useful for all researchers who like to work on this topic. And it was very much informative and useful, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Kavita.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Kavita, ma'am. So, well, we have come to the end of this session. Now, I'll request all the participants to fill and submit the attendance and feedback form for today's session. Actually, the session was very informative, sir. From your session, we have got acquired the knowledge in principal challenges in scalability and blockchain trilemma, and we also known about the term permissioned blockchain and the concept how to analyze the scalability through transaction latency and throughput is very useful. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful and informative session.
Thank you, madam. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
this
sir.
opportunity.
Okay,
All the
thank
best
you.
for all the participants for next few days. Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
ஒரு நாளைக்கு ட்ரெயின் ஏறினோம்னா நம்ம டைரக்டர்கிட்ட பேசுறதோ நம்ம ஹெட் ஆஃபீஸர் பேச பிரின்சிபால்கிட்ட பேச ட்ரெயின் ஃப்ரீ தான்.
So now I request all the participants to fill and submit the attendance and feedback form for today's session 1, which will be posted in the chat box. Now all the participants leave the session and join the session by 11:15 a.m. or session 2. Thank you all.
Ma'am, can you repost again? Because of network issue, I left.
போட்டுருங்க.